learners. I am Prabhavati, Assistant Professor of Computer Science, Jama Muhammad College. Today we are going to discuss about components of ER model. The components of ER diagram: entity, attributes, and relationship. Entity is further divided into weak entity and strong entity. Attributes are key attributes, composite attributes, simple attributes, and derived attributes, and multi-valued attributes. Relationships are one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, many-to-one relationship, many-to-many relationship. Weak entities and strong entities. Weak entity. A weak entity is that entities which does not contain key attribute and depends on the strong entity via the foreign key. It is identified by some other strong entity using an identifying relationship. In the entity relational diagram, a weak entity is represented by the double rectangular box. This is a weak entity. Strong entity. A strong entity is that entities that it contains a primary key attributes. These types of entity uniquely identifies its every record using the key attribute. In the entity relationship diagram, a strong entity is represented by a single rectangular box. This is an example for strong entity. Next, attributes. Different types of attributes in the ER model. Simple attribute, key attribute, derived attributes, composite attribute, multi-valued attributes. Simple attributes. Simple attributes are those attributes of an entity which cannot be derived further in the smaller component. Example, the simple attributes. Roll number of the students can be simple attribute. ID of the employee can be a simple attribute. Salary of employee can be a simple attribute. Age and class of the students can be a simple attributes, etc. This is a diagram for simple attribute. Employee ID, age, salary is the simple attribute. Next one is a key attribute. The key attribute, primary key is an attribute which uniquely identifies all the entities in an entity set. The values of these attributes are distinct. Distinct means without duplicate. In an entity relationship diagram, this attribute is represented by the oval shape with the text underlined. Example of key attributes. Roll number of the students is the key attribute. ID of employee is the key attribute. Account number of the customer in the bank is the key attribute. This is a diagram. This is a key attribute. Employee ID is the text with the underline is called a key attribute. Next one is a composite attribute. Composite attributes are whose attributes of an entity which is a combinations of more than one attributes. In the entity ER diagram, This attribute is represented by an ellipse comprising of the other ellipse. The following are the examples of composite attributes. Address of the employee is the composite attribute, and the name of the employee is the composite attributes. Name of the employee is the first name and last name is the composite attributes. The address, street number, street name, street number, then door number, flat name. This is the composite attributes. So address and employee name is the composite attributes. Next, derived attributes. Derived attributes are whose attributes of an entity which are based on other attributes and whose values are derived from other stored attributes. In the entity diagram, your diagram is this attribute is represented by the dashed oval ellipse shape. The following are the examples of derived attributes. Age. Age is derived from date of birth of the students and employee. Total and average marks of the students are derived attributes. Example. So this one is a age is derived as a date of birth. So age is the dashed ellipse. So derived attributes. Next, multi-valued attributes. The multi-valued attributes are whose attributes of an entity which contain more than one values in the entity relation diagram. This attributes is represented by a double ellipse shape. The following are the examples of multi-valued attributes. Phone number of the employee is the multi-valid attributes. Email ID of the employee is the also multi-valid attributes. So, one person having the more than one phone number. So, this is the multi-valid attributes. Email ID also having the more than one mail ID. So, this is the multi-valid attributes. Next, relationship is also an important component of ER model which shows or describe the relationship between entities. Example, in the entity relationship diagram, a relationship is represented by the diamond shape. The following are the four different types of relationship in the ER model. One-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, many-to-one relationship, many-to-many relationship. The diamond shape relationship are represented by diamond. One-to-one relationship. When one entity of the entity set P is related to a single entity of an entity set Q, then this types of relationship is called a one-to-one relationship. Example, the employee can work in only one department in an organization. Next, one-to-many relationship. When one entity of the entity set P is related to more than one entity of entity set Q, then this types of relation is called one-to-many relationship. For example, one employee can work in more than one department in the organization. One employee works in more than one department. So, one to many. M means many. One is the one. Next, many to one relationship. When more than one entity of an entity set P is related to single entity of entity set Q, then this types of relationship is called a many to one relationship. Example, more than one employee can work in the one department in an organization. More than one employee, many employees are work in one department is called a many to one relationship. Next one, many to many relationship. When more than one entity of the entity set P is related to more than one entity of entity set Q, then this types of relation is called a many to many relationship. For example, more than one employee can work in more than one department of an organization. Employee, more than one employees are works in more than one department. This is the many to many relationship diagram. This is a components of your model. Once again, I repeat, entity is a symbol of rectangle, relationship is a diamond, attributes is a ellipse, multivalued attributes are represented in double ellipse, key attributes are represented in ellipse with underlined text. Composite attributes are represented more than one attributes are combined together. Weak entities are represented in double rectangle. Weak entity relationship are represented in double diamond. Double diamond. Thank you.